The price is almost exact. The price is very close to where we got out on our long. Canada is now pushing down, right? Canada now pushing down. Let me just set the stream properly. Doesn't take very long. All right, everything is set on the stream. So Canada, we would have been added the trade here. So small profit on the Canada trap trade. Next time, maybe we'll trade 4 contracts. Maybe that makes more sense. Let's take a look at crude. Let's take a look at crude. Rude old crude. Rude old crude. So crude. If you know the prefix and you don't know the contract, you could type the prefix and then click on the contract. And I do want to check on crude, new market analyzer. CL426, CL526. I want to look at. So tomorrow is rollover on crude. The volume is mixed. All right. It's heavier on the current contract, but it's only 40,000 different. So tomorrow will be rollover on crude oil, it looks like. So we've been experimenting with a market open breakout trade on crude. And it worked a bunch of times last week. I'll try it again this week. As long as it's working and we're here, I'll continue to try the trade. Watching gold, our gold trade, it's going to fill above 35. Now, in the webinar, I made a very big mistake in the way that I was trying to do the targeting. The targeting um, is working properly for the VWAP and all the built-in targets. What I was doing is I wasn't letting go of the order entry line, so it never activated the actual targeting. So I thought the targeting wasn't working. And I just forgot that, yes, of course, you have to let the line go so that the order
Keep in mind, seeing comments from White House Press Secretary
becomes
Levitt saying that
active
Trump has spoke with many countries in the
on
last
the
days
chart.
and is speaking with allies in Europe and the Gulf.
Looking at a longer term oil chart, 15 minute
Levitt
for
says NATO
argument's sake,
allies especially need to step up on Hormuz.
or a 30 minute, there's no question right now that oil is negative. All right. Oil hit 100 overnight and now it's selling off. All right. I am willing to try a oil breakout at the market open. The market open for oil is 9 o'clock. So we have plenty of time. First thing, put a reverse continue on the chart. Click News Trader, change the breakout to a reverse continue. Contract size is up to you. You don't have to copy my exact setup in terms of size and risk, right? I like to do a one contract, a 25 target, and a 30 stop right now. Oil's pretty volatile, and that's just a scalp, right? It's just a scalp. So we'll label it oil CL reverse continue, and we'll put it, I'll trade it on the same account we just traded the Canada report. See if we can build that account up a little bit. So that was 32. So that's our scalp for oil. Apply it and OK it. And then I'll turn the scalp on. All right. And then I'm going to take 1 minute and I'm going to heat my coffee. All right. So I'll be right back. I'm going to take my mic with me. I'm watching gold. I want to get back before gold fills. So I'm only going to take 20 seconds to do this.
The Fox News interviews White House Press Secretary Leavitt says the Trump-Xi meeting could be delayed. So again, that's White House Press Sec saying that the Trump-Xi meeting could be delayed. So they're currently speaking in a Fox News interview. Again, possible that the Trump-Xi meeting is delayed.
Okay. Nothing happened dramatic while we were away. Gold didn't fill, but the coffee's warm. Gold did not
Leavitt
fill.
says if the China meeting is delayed, we will provide new dates soon.
All right, we don't need our news anymore,
Seeing a
right?
statement now from China's Li following the negotiations today, saying that they've had candid negotiations with the US team. So again, the meeting between the China
So
and
right
US
now
team
we
are
have an
over
oil
and
reverse
lasted about 3
continue
hours.
set
So
up.
seeing a statement from the Chinese side now.
Oil reverse continue. We've got gold magnet and a gold reverse continue. Usually this
China's
time
trade
of day we
negotiator Li,
start
on
looking at
talks
the
with the US,
YM.
says we talked about bilateral tariffs under new circumstances. Topics in the US talks again included tariffs. So China's trade negotiator on talks with the US says we talked about a possible extension of tariff suspensions and other matters. So again, China's trade negotiator on talks with the US says we talked about possible
Just
extension of
watching
tariff suspension
gold for a
and
few
other
more
matters.
moments. We do normally look at the YM here. So, but we're a little bit early also. Oil is selling off. It's $95, okay? $95, essentially, the world's in chaos. And
So Fox News, just with a scoop from White House Press Secretary Leavitt, saying that Trump and Vance will launch a task force on fraud today. So keep in mind that Trump and
it's
VP
just
Vance are due to be having
incomprehensible
signing
what's
time later
going
this
on.
afternoon.
It's
That's 3:30
incomprehensible.
p.m. Eastern Time. Leavitt just hinting that this is going to be on fraud. China's trade negotiator Li, on talks to the US, says both sides agreed to maintain stability of the tariff levels.
Just watching, the gold price seems to be just starting to consolidate maybe a little bit. Oil made lows and has pulled off the lows. So the setup I use in the morning on this oil market open breakout,
And White House Press Secretary Levitt has now ended their Fox News interview.
I'm going to go to a template and load. So we're looking for oil open. Oil, I'm trying to think what I called it. Let's see what we called it. That's why I date. I don't remember what I called the darn thing. Oil open, 311. That's it. That's our oil open. So let's redate it. It's the 16th. Right click it, rename it, 316. I think I'll call it oil new open. It makes it easier to find. When you load it, you save it. Now, I'm not sure that is, yeah, that's the right one. The trigger's on 0. It's an 8:59:59 trigger time. 8:59:59. No, this is not the right one. Let me look for something else. Our bracket was 15, but the bracket is modifiable
China
depending
Secretary of State
on
Lee, in talks with the
volatility
US, says we oppose
also.
unilateral
Let
probes.
me see if I have a different template. I mean, I remember what my setup was, but I thought that I saved a
And Lee
template.
says China expresses serious concerns over the US's recent 301 probes.
Too many old files, way too many old files. It's not a bad idea to get rid of lots of old files. They just confuse things. I mean, you're not going to trade the way you traded in 2022. There is no reason generally to keep templates around that are that old. There's just no point. There's no point. It doesn't really do anything except confuse which is the correct setup. I mean, going back to 2022, I've got video probably that goes back to 2022. In fact, I was putting together a huge collection of trade room videos, trying to figure out a product that we could make with our old trade room videos. I think they'd be a lot of fun. People would like to look at them and study them. So we're thinking about how to make a product out of
Russell
that.
2000 futures up around 1.4% now.
You know, a reasonably priced
And
product.
Chinese negotiator with the US, Lee, says China and the US are to maintain negotiations.
So maybe I never
And says that
created
the
a
China and
brand new
US have reached a
template for
preliminary
that oil open.
consensus
So we'll
on
do
some
it now.
topics.
So we'll call it oil new open. It's dated today. All right. I'm going to load it and I'm going to modify it. So the time would normally be trigger at 8:59:59. I would trigger it at
White House Press Secretary
8:59:59.
Levitt, speaking again now,
The
says Trump
bracket,
wishes that the UK stepped up
I'm
sooner
looking at
and
a
quicker.
12 bracket right now. I got targets of 8, targets of 20, and the stop is going to be 25 at the moment. And if it hits my first target, I'm moving to BE. Target 1 stop move is a BE. And I'm labeling it CLBRK open. All right. Apply it. Go to template, save. And now I'm going to find that oil open template and I'm going to resave it. Oil new open, we called it. That's why the word new makes it just a lot easy to find it. Oil new open, dated today. All right. Save it, highlight it, save it. Do you want to replace it? Yes. Okay. Now let's set the time to 0. We have a 12 bracket. We're on sim right now, which is what we want. So we can take a look at the bracket for management.
Order submitted.
It's a pretty tight bracket.
Order canceled.
With the current volatility in oil, I'm going to go with a 15 bracket. That's what we used last week. We're going to go with that 15 bracket. I'm going to choose under optional to get rid of the vertical line on entry. I'm not going to show it. And I'm going to resave the template with a 15 bracket and no line, no vertical line on entry. So we'll find our setup again, oil, open, new open, there it is, double click it, save it. All right, and then put our time. You can test the bracket one more time if you'd like.
Order submitted.
We do see quite a bit of volatility start to come into the
Order
oil
canceled.
market before the open. $8.59.59 is the trigger. 15 on the bracket. Targets of 8 and 20. Stop of 25. Target one stop move is BE for break even. All right. And we'll keep trading in that 32 account, prop account. That's what we're using today. Apply it and OK it. Put the chart trader on 32 and we'll turn our trade on and we're ready to go. All right, gold. We don't usually trade gold this time of day. I think it's a great time of day to trade gold. We made 13 ticks on a quick long here. We didn't get our test of the high yet. I think it's coming. So for now, we're going to remove our gold and put the YM on. You can leave the setups and you can just modify them. If you don't want to start from scratch, you can modify the setups. So the China meeting is going to be delayed. No surprise there. The world's on fire.
Morgan Stanley downgrades US small caps to neutral from overweight against large caps.
So instead of having a GC magnet, we're going to turn it into a YM magnet. So we'll highlight the magnet, high of day low. Well, first of all, let's cancel that for a second. Let's change our chart. YM 0626. YM has rolled. Hard to believe the markets are making new highs. The markets are not based in any kind of reality. When horrible things happen, the markets react, but overall, I don't think the markets are anything except a game that people play. I mean, that's how you have to look at the markets. They just are not based in reality anymore, it seems to me. But that doesn't really matter. You just trade what they show you. So whether they're based in reality or not, You're just trading, we're trading what the markets are showing us. Now, the YM's been making new high after new high after new high. It may pull back now, and maybe we can get a magnet in for the open. A high of day, low of day magnet, right? There could be a VWAP pullback magnet. That's pretty far from where we are now. 058 to 250. It's almost 200 points away from where we are now. So this is not one of our best morning magnet setups because the YM has been making new high after new high. Let's see if it pulls back. Let's see if it pulls back. And or maybe we'll trade some signals on the YM this morning. So we'll modify our existing setup, highlight strategy, highlight gold magnet, and we're going to turn it into YM magnet. So the first thing you could do is relabel it down under setup YM magnet, right? Choose the account you're trading it on. There's no reason why we can't leave it on the account we've already used this morning. That's fine. And then we'll go all the way back up to the top again. High of day, low of day. Proximity is a 3. And we will do right now we have one target if it hits the magnet with a 35 tick stop. And the target is default, 3 ticks before it gets to the magnet. All right. I'm just thinking how many contracts I want to trade this morning or what I want to do. I think there's a real good possibility. We're pulling back now. We'll retest that high magnet. I think that's a real possibility on the open. So I'm just going to do, I'm not going to go through the magnet. I just want to set up a second target, second position, sorry, second contract position 1. I'm just trading 2 contracts, same target, -3. And I have to go with a little bit bigger stop at the open. Going with 45. Going with 45 at the moment. Now, we had originally configured everything for gold. So I'm leaving high of day and VWAP signals on. Proximity ticks is 3. That means it'll start generating signals when it gets 3 ticks. 3 ticks is considered hitting the level. That's what proximity ticks means. And trending bars can help filter. There are times when if you increase trending bars, it will create less signals. We're getting a nice sell-off on the YM. ARS management is if you want to use the ARS button for the trade. I love using the reverse continue button. It's much simpler, but you can use the ARS now button. And if you have a signal that you want to take, let's say you don't know the signals well yet, so you just do AR position 1, and we'll do 35 tick target, 35 tick stop. All right, on the YM. And then you can also set up your internal reverse continue. We always set up 1 or 2 positions, 1 contract or 2. YM, we usually do 35 target, 35 stop. I'm going to leave that the way it is for today. That works with the YM reverse continue buttons in the control center. And we'll also put that on the other account, 32. So we now have a YM. That's our YM magnet. All right. That's our YM magnet. That's like a whole generic setup. So we'll apply it. You can template, save it, and call it YM generic and date it today. You could put BUT to let yourself know that you adjusted the button trading on it if you want to. And today's date, 3/16, we'll save it and okay it. So we have a YM magnet, high of day, low of day. I don't think we're getting to the low entry, right? Going to increase my number of ticks profit. I don't think we're getting to the low at the moment. We did get a reversal signal there. Let's see where we're entering. We're buying at 265 and we're getting out 15 ticks later. So we have about a 30 tick trade because we have two contracts. So we can leave the entry where it is. We don't really have market structure to use because it's been making new highs all morning. So we're going to leave our magnet set up. The only other thing I would do is set up my reverse continue for the YM. And we'll do a couple of contracts. 35 ticks target.
The effective Fed fund rate unchanged at
35
3.64%
ticks
for March
stop.
13th.
And we'll just change the label. Oh, you know what? We'll get rid of our other one. We made a new one. Instead of changing the label, we made a new reverse continue. YM reverse continue. In 32. And let's get ready for oil. We can wait on YM. We don't have to do anything with YM. We have our oil trade, the breakout.
Order submitted. Order filled.
Okay, immediate hit both targets for an instant profit. That was $300. It was instant. These market opens on oil. If you can get a safe trade, that was very fast. It would not shock me if somebody had a bad trade on that because of data integrity. Did anybody else take the oil open? We've seen since last week that the oil breakout is working very nicely. Did anybody take it or just me? It's been working. Nobody's talking. Anybody there? Can you all hear me? Can you all hear me? So now it's continuing to the downside. It is continuing. Now, it is definitely nerve-wracking to take that trade in a cash account. You know, um, it could do a fair amount of damage. I think we're getting an early fill on the YM. I'm going to let it fill. Oil's selling off. Oil selling off. The oil open breakout can be turned off. All right, oil breakout open can be turned off. Now, the one thing I goofed is I forgot to trade the YM in my funded account. Nitin, okay. Nitin takes trades. And it hit both your targets also, Nitin, right? It hit both your targets. Yeah. I'll show the video. I'm watching, I have my eye on the YM. So let me save the video. YM I think is going to fill. So we had GC at 8 a.m. on this video. That did not work today, but maybe we will experiment with silver also, the micro. We'll do some experimenting when we're here. And we had Canada CPI, small winner, and then the oil open. The YM is going to fill. So I'm going to watch the YM. Now, the worrisome part of a magnet now is it's a little bit early. It's before the open, half an hour almost. And you've made magnet after magnet. You've made new
As we're
highs
seeing
very
covered by
recently.
sources here,
I would rather,
that
I would
as India seeks
rather
Hormuz a safe package,
it sell
Tehran
off
asked for a
here and
return of
not fill
seized
me
tankers.
and then
So again,
fill at the
Iran asked
open.
for the release of 3
That's what I would
tankers seized
prefer
by
to
India
see.
in negotiations with the Strait of Hormuz package.
So I don't mind that the YM is not moving up right now. I mean, very honestly, that's a magnet you could miss. I could miss this one by turning it off because I would rather wait to get closer to the open. Now, the market might make the decision for us. It's possible. The market may
In 10
make the
minutes' time
decision
at
for us.
9:15 a.m. Eastern Time, get the US industrial production month over month. The forecast is 0.1% from the prior 0.7, with a range of 0.4 to minus 0.3% expected. Capacity utilization forecast 76.2%, unchanged from the prior. Manufacturing output month over month forecast 0.1% on the prior 0.6, and industrial production year over year, so a prior read of 2.28%.
Yeah, I would think. I mean, there's obviously going to be a lot of good opportunity when the future's open. There's a lot of volatility these days when the future's open at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. The big issue with this YM trade is it has to be a pretty big stop. It has to be a pretty big stop.
Order submitted.
All right, so it's filled, and the stop really should be under all the structure. It's a pretty big stop. It's a little bit early also for the trade. There's nothing I hate more than when you get filled and then there's an instant big reversal. That's always really worrisome when that happens. So oil's done. I mean, I'm not scalping oil right now. I'm not scalping oil, so I can get rid of my oil trades. I have a reverse continue on oil. I'm turning that off. And then I'm changing my oil chart to MNQ. Now the correct chart is 0626, but the volume was much higher on 0326. So looking at new market analyzer, looking at MNQ 626, MNQ 326, and the volume's a lot higher on the old contract. That makes me want to trade pretty low risk on the MNQ this morning. There's a lot of mixed volume, and it's the only instrument that's confused in terms of correct volume. All the other instruments that I've looked at are trading the correct contract with higher volume, except for the MNQ. Even the NQ is trading the right contract. So I think what I'll do is trade normally today, but I'm just not going to trade in my funded account this morning on the MNQ. A lot of people take way less risk on rollover day, just as a matter of trading. They take less risk. So our MNQ market open.
In 5 minutes' time now, at 9:15 a.m. Eastern Time, we get the U.S. industrial production.
First thing I'll
month
do
over
is
month
put
for
a
February.
reverse continue
Forecast
on the chart.
0.1% on the prior, 0.7, with a range of 0.4 to minus 0.3% expected.
Couple of
Capacity
contracts,
utilization forecast
and we'll do our
76.2%,
usual,
unchanged from the prior.
do a 40 tick
Manufacturing outputs
target,
month over month, forecast
50 tick
0.1%
target,
on the prior,
75 tick
0.6,
stop,
and industrial production year over year, so a prior read of 2.28%.
75 tick stop. And that's just our reverse continue, MNQ. MNQ reverse continue. And we'll go into let me see what account I want to trade that in. I think I'll trade it in number 29. So we'll do MNQ in 29. And we'll make sure we put Chart Trader on that account as well. So we have our reverse continuation set up, and then I'll set up my breakout on the MNQ. Set up my breakout. Load the template. MNQ new open, it's called. MNQ new open, we'll date it today by right clicking it, rename it 316, and that's 929.59 on the trigger, 35 bracket targets of 30 and 100, stop of 125, BE if it hits target one stop move, and we'll test our brackets. In optional, we'll turn off the vertical line on entry. And in fact, let's resave this. MNQ new open. And there it is, saved. Time is on 0. Let's check the brackets real quick. Brackets are on sim.
Order
There
submitted.
we go. That's a little bit wide, right? So we'll change that.
1 minute remaining. I'll lead
Order
with US
canceled.
industrial production
Now there is a
month-over-month.
9:15 report, industrial production, manufacturing, capacity utilization, industrial production. Those reports have not been moving the market at all. Now I do want to put an MNQ magnet on also, just to watch signals.
10 seconds.
So here comes the news. Industrial production, manufacturing, etc.
0.2%, 0.2%, higher than forecast, 0.1%.
Higher than forecast.
Capacity utilization, 76.3%, 76.3%.
Tiny bit higher on
Higher than
both.
forecast,
It's not showing up on
Manufacturing
investing.com.
output month-over-month, 0.2%.
Tiny bit
0.2%,
higher on
higher than forecast,
everything in the
0.1%.
report. Tiny bit. Tiny bit. So at least it won't hurt a long trade if it were going to have any effect on the market. So MNQ, we have our setup. I wanted to put on a magnet just to watch signals. So I'll just add a third strategy. You can configure the strategy whenever you want. It's always important to label the strategy. That's very important. So we'll call it MNQ magnet. I'm not usually going to trade it from the magnet software itself. This time of day, I would use the reverse continue most probably. We're on account number 29 for our MNQ setups. The magnet, you can do high of day, low of day at the moment.
So we have posted
Proximity
the industrial
is
production February
3.
report on the feed for those interested.
And I would do one position looking for a test of the high or low with a 100 tick stop at the moment. I'm only trading one position. High of day signals are generating, VWAP signals will generate. You can always adjust, set your button up. So my first position, if a signal generates, 2 contracts, and we'll do a 50 tick target. And if I wanted to stay in, that's all I'm going to do is one position for a signal with a 100 stop micros. All right. I'm just configuring a generic MNQ. And then the inside reverse continuation. The stop is 75 and the target is 40. That's all I'm doing. Just a very generic, simple setup on the MNQ buttons. And then apply it, go to template, save, MNQ generic BUT for button, and today's date. So I'm just programming some random magnet setups so we have them to use in the morning without reconfiguring everything all at once. That's roughly 10 points away from the high. It's roughly 10 points away from the high. See why I really didn't want to, I don't know why I let that YM fill early this morning. I'm worried about this
Keep in mind,
YM
Treasury Secretary
trade.
Bessent speaking to reporters in Paris now. Just repeating what you mentioned earlier, the China visit postponement would be because Trump wants to, but it does say that the Paris talks were constructive.
You don't really have structure because we've been making new highs. Right now, we're just watching the magnet. I'm not going to use the high of day, low of day
US
signals.
Trade
I'm going to
Representative
turn them off.
Greer, also speaking to reporters in Paris, says we concluded working plan
That's
on
not what I'm
deliverables
using the
on
magnet
China
for.
meeting.
I'm just looking for after the open, the signals, not even now, because it's high of day, low of day. It already made a signal long ago. There's a long ago
Trump
signal.
announcing a press conference
All right.
today on Truth Social. No timing given or any details, just saying news conference today prior to the Trump Kennedy Board Center meeting. So the Trump Kennedy Center board meeting is at 11:45 a.m. Eastern Time today. Trump on Truth Social saying that he's going to be doing a news conference after this. So safe to assume around 12 p.m. Eastern Time. We'll put it in tentatively.
So we have 10 minutes until the open. RTY. We forgot all about the RTY. Let's get our RTY going.
According to sources, OpenAI are in advanced talks with TPG, Bain Capital, Advent, and Brookfield on a joint venture to distribute AI products. Treasury Secretary Bessent says detailed talks with China on new tariff authorities.
All right, so let's get our RTY chart going. No harm there. All right, so first thing I do on an RTY is a reverse continue. Reverse continue on an RTY, 35 target, 35 stop. Now, I haven't been watching the RTY, obviously, this morning, so I'm not going to do it with a lot of risk. I haven't been watching the instrument. RTY, reverse continue, and where are we going to trade that one? Let's trade that. Let's trade the
US Trade Representative
RTY.
Greer just saying the US and China
It's been
agreed
a
on
little
a
bit
work plan for
inconsistent.
potential
It's
deliverables
been
for
better.
Trump and
We've been
China's
using
President Xi.
Langford's
And
range,
Treasury
and that
Secretary
seems to
Bessent
be
says
better
discussed China
than
receiving
the
energy from the Gulf.
other setup we were using. It was not bad last week. Not bad. So I'll set up that range. I'm just trying to decide where I want to trade it, what account. Give me a second. We'll go back to our 37 account, which we've used this morning. So we have a reverse continue, 35 tick target, 35 tick stop. All right. That's one setup for RTY. And then we have a range trade. A market open range. RTY. I'm going to redate it. Today's the 16th. Going to
US
remove that
crude
vertical
futures fall
line
more
on
than
entry.
$4 to an intraday low of $94.31 per
We
barrel.
start the range at 925, 6 ticks above, 6 ticks below. Show the range graphics. We end the range at 930, target at 10, target at 20, stop of 25. I'm making the stop 35 because I want to make sure it's outside of the range. If I have time, it's something I will look at. I'd like to stop outside of the range if it's not a huge range. So I'm just using a little bit bigger stop because I have so many setups, it's hard to manage everything. So that's my RTY. Apply it, okay it. We'll turn it on. And it's already started because it's after 9:25, right? So we got the RTY, reverse continue, and the range. We have our MNQ breakout and the MNQ reverse continue, watching magnets. And then we have the YM reverse continue and a YM magnet that were in the magnet trade that triggered a while ago. A little bit too early for my liking, to be honest, but I let it trigger, so we're looking for a test of the high on the YM. Now, the YM stop, it seems to me if you wanted to, you could reduce your risk almost in half by using the market structure in this area here as opposed to the very previous market structure. But it is the open, so I'm just going to let it do its thing with the bigger stop at the moment. All right, so we're just being patient. We have 2 more minutes plus before the market opens. RTY range is pretty big. It's a big range. Not like in our YM trade, to be honest. That trade's got me really worried. It looks like the markets want to open down, but you never know. They could change on a dime and go the other way. It's the open is the open. You just don't know what it's going to do.
One minute now until we get the market on open imbalance. The EU imposes sanctions on Chinese and Iranian entities for cyber attacks against EU member states.
All right, there's 10 seconds for the
10
market
seconds
open.
for the move.
Order submitted. Order submitted.
Now,
Order
Markets
the
on
filled.
open
YM,
imbalance.
I want to
S&P
talk
500
about the
buy side
stop in a minute.
414 million. Nasdaq 100
The
buy side
MNQ,
40 million. Dow 30 buy side
I would not
76
move anything
million.
yet.
Mag 7 sell side
Order
6 million.
filled.
All
Order
right,
submitted.
so the RTY, I can't believe the RTY is going to get through this range. I would be shocked if the RTY hits the target. I'd be shocked. Now, I didn't do a break even, so I'm going to move my stop to break even if it gets there. If it gets there. I want my stop. I didn't want to shrink my stop yet. The stop was supposed to be below the range. The range is too big. I'm not willing to take all that
Order
much of a
filled.
loss. Okay, I did have the break even set. Expanded the target, trailing a tiny
Order
bit.
filled.
All right, it got pulled back. Son of a gun, you son of a dog. Every trade was a winner. But I want to talk about the YM. It's really important. Look at the stop. Look at the thinking about the stop that kept you safe on the YM. You had to use the previous market structure, or it would have taken you out. I left it with the previous market structure because it's the open, and I know how volatile opens can be. The MNQ just hit the target one and then it just reversed like it always does. Now, it almost made it to the high, but not quite. It didn't get there. It's a couple of ticks away. It may get there now. It got to 901 and it's like 7 ticks farther up. So it will not generate signals because that's not considered a test of the high. Although maybe the MNQ 5 ticks, 6 ticks could be considered a test of the high. That might not be so unreasonable. It looks like it's still going to test the high. So the RTY worked. I do think that if you can bear the size of the RTY stop being below the range, it will make the RTY work even better. Now it may get below the range. Who cares? We got our profit on the RTY. Now, I was worried about the YM. It looked like the YM was just going to torture us and not go to the high. But fortunately, it decided to go to the high. It was a long magnet. That was a almost a 30-minute magnet. It's not why the magnet wasn't designed for
Micron
really, for
Technology hits the
honestly,
highest
for
since January,
30-minute
last up
trades.
6.2%. This is
That's not
following
the
RBC
original
hiking the
thinking.
price target to 525 from 425.
Now the
Meta
MNQ did the
Platform shares
real
up around
test of the
2.3
high.
after reports that the company is planning new layoffs affecting 20% or more of their workforce.
Nitin, all your silvers are micro silver, yes or no? Okay. So micro silver is $5 a tick, so it's manageable. It is manageable. MNQ up 300 points. YM is up 300 points, 350. RTY is very bullish. So just as a recap, YM winning magnet took half an hour. Took half an hour. We entered at 9:05. 9:07. Took almost half an hour. RTY, the range trade worked. The key with the YM, you make sure you use a big stop. Now we did use market structure. It still has not broken that structure. This is the structure. That's where your stop should be, 10 ticks below that at least. And then the MNQ was just a very typical go through target one, go through target one, and reverse. And that's what it does. That's what it did. Now, probably if you maybe don't touch your stop. So our entry was 875. Let's say our entry was 875. Entry was 875, right? Entry was right here. All right, so my entry was there. And the stop got to so if you just left your stop alone, you could still be in that trade. That's what I was checking. All right? Could still be in that trade, just so you know. So maybe it's hard to know for sure without doing it. We got to try some trades without moving stops on the MNQ to see how it works, see how it goes. So everybody did pretty well this morning. Looks like everyone did pretty well. We had no losers. Nothing was a loser. Getting some signals on the YM. Getting some signals on the YM. Uh, we should get a signal, I would think, on the MNQ at some point. RTY is a choppy mess, isn't it? Even the MNQ is a pretty choppy mess. It did go up pretty strongly, though, on the open. Definitely a strong move up on the open, ultimately. I don't love signals that are very far
Burns
away
gain with the
from the
German 10-year
stops.
yield falling 5 basis points to around 2.93%.
I prefer signals that are closer to the stop because then you have less risk if you take the signal. All right, so let's look at the schedule and see what's coming next. Let's look at that open on the video. So that video had the market open. All right, let's take a look at that open. Now, the worrisome part. So I was worried about the YM. I really was worried about the YM. Our stop made sense though. It was a good stop. See, when you look earlier in the morning, it was the perfect stop below that previous sell-off. And it held. If you used the smaller market structure, it would have taken you out. So we're waiting for the open. The RTY starts making a pretty big range. I was just curious about the MNQ. So the MNQ filled long, and then it hits the first target pretty much right away, and then it pulls back and hits the stop. YM was a very quick pop up. It looked like the YM was going to sell off and stop us out. It just barely broke the structure of the stop. Now, would you have not gotten stopped out? You should have used 10 ticks below that lowest spot. I think you would have survived. You would have survived, even with the smaller stop, it looks like possibly. YM immediately just did the magnet finally, and then the RTY had a pretty big range, but for whatever reason, these markets are bullish. So there goes the RTY. I thought I forgot to use the target one stop move on the RTY, but I think it's built into my template. So there it is. It hits the first target. I expanded the target, and then it did a tiny pullback. I should have, obviously, we just got the stop too close. Oh, then it did a pretty good size pullback there. So I think the RTY gave us what it should have. It gave us what it should have. And this high of day signal wound up, looks like it's going to be a good one. It's not done yet. So picking a bad entry, I might not enter on a green candle. I don't like entering a short on a green candle. So let's take an honest entry. Maybe. Maybe I'd be in the trade now with 40 ticks of profit. Right now, there'd be about 40 ticks of profit
US stocks extending gains out of the opening gate with the Dow Jones up 1%.
on that particular signal. The YM, after the open, it gave a signal, not, but it did change direction pretty fast. Not ultra fast, but again, green candle, worst entry possible, 35 ticks possible of profit. 35 ticks, that's like our magic tick number on the YM. That's the tick number I like to use for target one. So might have had a target one possible winner there if you were taking signals, right? All right. We'll be back 11:30. We'll be back 11:30 for NOPA. All right. Any questions? Anybody have any questions? Let me close our stream down. So every setup was a winner this morning. The YM scared us a little bit. So thanks everyone on YouTube for joining us. We'll see you tomorrow on YouTube. Hit the notification bell so you know when we're here.